71% of the Earth is covered with water. Welcome to Delaware and Maryland's Eastern Shore waters and the ultimate pontoon boat buying guide. Featuring Joe Ing and sponsored by North Bay Marina.
So you're thinking about buying a pontoon boat. The main things to consider are how you're going to use it. There's so many different layouts as far as entertaining, water sports, fishing. Most of them you can get everything in the same boat. A lot of them are considered how many people they carry, how many passengers they can carry, and most of them carry quite a few, up to 15 typically with the Tri-Toon. The Tri-Toon these days, if you haven't heard, is the new mass appeal in boating because of what it can do compared to what people considered Pop-Op's boat back in the day, the two-tube boat that rode great and was a really lot of fun for people on a freshwater lake where it was pretty calm. The evolution of a pontoon boat to the Tri-Toon, because of what it can do when you never said speed or cool and pontoon in the same sentence, has completely changed. So the key things are how many people are you going to have with you. Sometimes it's just going to be the two of you. The seating arrangement can allow for just two people. Sometimes it's going to be all of you with the grandkids and the dogs too, and there are boats that you can easily accommodate that also. Most of them have the room for lots of storage under the seats and water sports, wakeboards, the lily pads, and beach chairs, which is what a lot of people typically in a pontoon boat want to do, is load up the boat and take everybody out for a ride, go to the beach, spend the day on the sandbar that way. And there's a lot of things in between, the fishing and the tubing and the pulling up at the restaurants to eat lunch. It's all part of it. Okay, so the size of the boat and the layout of the boat, that's pretty simple. When you start getting on some of the pontoon boats and see the layout and configuration, especially when you bring your family with you and you all kind of sit down and get a comfortable place to sit, and imagine some of the friends or other families that may be traveling with you, it's pretty easy. There's so many layouts that are possible. Sometimes asking a friend that has a pontoon boat, that has spent some time in some pontoon boats would really help out with some of the configurations. There's a lot of fancy stuff, but mainly it's all about seating. So if you're considering fishing or just laying out on a bed or having a bar, there's refrigerators, so many different things you can put in a pontoon boat. But it's all about comfortable seating at the end of the day, how many people practically that you're going to have with you the majority of the time. That's about it. Motors and horsepower. This is where I get excited. There's so many different selections and options, and what you'll hear about this motor or the greatness of that motor, and never buy this or always buy this. My opinion, we sell them all. Sold them all. They're all great. All of them are great. They're all very similar in technology. They're all very similar in warranty. They're all very similar in parts availability, prop availability. The key thing is to know that you have a dealership that can honor the warranty on the product that you buy. In other words, if you buy a product 80 miles away from your dealer, plan to travel 80 miles to get it done. Which one's the best? It's honestly, it's a Ford Chevy argument. They're all great. They really are all great. Okay, so the size of the motor. A lot of these Tri-Toons, people are trying to get a lot of people out there. And it's changed a lot from your grandfather's 2-tube pontoon boat. The tubes are bigger now. They allow for quite a bit of horsepower, 200, 300, even 400 horsepower in some of the 25 footers. The horsepower is a big deal, but to me, it's not so much about the top speed that you're going to achieve. It's if you're going to load it up with its potential, which it has a lot of capacity, and try to pull a tube on the same day, you want to have some reserve power. So it's not unlikely to see a 300 horsepower on a tri-tune, and it's not because that guy's going crazy and trying to go fast. He's pulling a lot of people around all day long. People ask me all the time about twins. Twins are cool, but the difference in the area that we experience with twins is it's very shallow, very shallow. So on a low tide, you're kind of defeating the purpose of a pontoon boat in shallow water when you add 850 more pounds on the back of it just to have twins. That's the guy that wants to go fast, and it's kind of a whole different thing. It is cool though, especially with a joystick. So the pontoons themselves, it's a big question. The diameter size. Obviously, the way that these pontoon boats have really moved towards the performance end of that is through getting bigger. The pontoons are actually bigger. The diameter is bigger. So the bigger the pontoon, the more volume, the more buoyancy. So really, the bigger the tube, you can only go so big, and you'll have nothing but 3 gigantic tubes underneath an 8.5 foot wide boat. But yeah, the bigger tubes help with the buoyancy, the ability to carry more weight, which is always a bigger, heavier 4-stroke motor on the back, the ability to carry more fuel, which is typically needed at least 50 gallons of fuel capacity with some of these bigger motors. So the buoyancy is a big thing, especially when you load it up with a lot of people. The deck construction has come a long way also since Pop-Pop's lake boat back in the 70s. All the boats are built really well. There's different construction materials, deck composite, aluminum, treated wood, the size of the cross members, the size of the saddle brackets, really end up in the long run for the resale value, but the use in the salt water, you want to go with a manufacturer that's been making boats for the salt water for a while, and that's not hard to find. Upholstery on the pontoon boats nowadays, it is really gone so selective, so subjective. They all look really good from the deck up. The quality of all the seats anymore have improved because of the demand. The idea is to keep your seats covered. The vinyl quality has really come a long way with all the manufacturers. The key thing to think about is the warranty. If there is a problem with it, who's going to honor it? How long of a warranty do you have? What exactly does it cover on your upholstery? The decking material, as opposed to carpet back in the day, is all either vinyl or the impression vinyl, the stamped vinyl. It all has a really good lifespan, and they've all come so far, but again, it's all about warranty if something were to happen and having that warranty honored. The biminis, pretty much all of them have some type of bimini and some type of shade. It's nice to have when you are inviting different crowds of people on, and some people would rather be underneath the shade. You can do a bimini, a dual bimini, a single bimini. The dual bimini's one that leans forward, just like the one in the back would lean back. They go together. They're good on an August 97-degree day, but they're not as common as just the single bimini. The stereo sound system, the GPS electronics, and a lot of other things that have recently been added with some of the digital technology on the engines. Everything is interfaced gauge-wise into the GPS and the screen that you have. So a lot of the screens have become bigger on the pontoon boats and tri-tunes. The navigation part of this, the Tri-Toons has improved so much that as far as visibility, the screens used to be so much smaller than they are now. But a lot of the manufacturers are running the gauges all through the GPS, and just a lot more styling and focus towards, you know, the navigation part of being in a pontoon boat has completely changed. And there's a lot of other additional electronics and electrical components that have popped up, like underseat lighting, LED lighting, speaker lighting, cup holder lighting, underwater lighting, off the side, shining down on the tubes lighting, lighting in the bimini. I really like the look of the LEDs, but sometimes it can get to be too much. Okay, so the sound systems on these boats have come a long way also. My advice on the sound system, if you are going to get a sound system installed, which a lot of subs, a lot of power amps, a lot of extra speakers, it sounds really good, let's face it. But the warranty on that, and who's going to fix it when you start having problems. Some of the manufacturers that have installed from the factory are probably the way to go, because then the boat warranty covers all the electronics, typically, something to make sure of. Having any dealer install your electronics or any of the speaker or stereo system, just make sure you check on what your warranty is going to be and enjoy that sound system. The next feature a lot of people are asking about is some type of bathroom. Yes, all the pontoon boats have accommodating some type of pop-up changing room with a porta potty that comes out, kind of like a camper potty. It's no Italian marble bathroom, but it's there, it's peace of mind. It usually folds up, and it's convenient to just store away and not take up a lot of space. But yes, typically all of them would have that option. Transporting the boat, if you don't leave it in the water for the season and you need to pull it out every time, no big deal really. You just need to have the truck capable of being able to pull a pontoon boat out of the water, which is normally, even the bigger Tri-Toons with big motors on them are about 4,000, maybe a little bit more. So it's not a real heavy boat to pull out. The vehicle, you know, carrying capacity, tow capacity shouldn't have to be too high to tow a pontoon boat or a Tri-Toon with a big motor. Then it's all about really just getting to know the boat ramps, and I think one of the easiest thing a pontoon boat launching and loading out of any boat, honestly, because of the way that there's guides you can set up and just kind of power load the boat on and off. But it's not a really big deal. They're big, they're bulky. Yes, they get affected by the wind, but it's not really heavy, so it's not a real heavy thing to have to tow around. Also, the whole thing about towing a boat, you have to have a trailer, right? And also, the trailer for a pontoon or Tri-Toon, depending on the manufacturer, you know, reasonably priced, but typically pretty easy to find a Tri-Toon or pontoon trailer that fit your pontoon to be able to tow it around. As far as pricing on some of these boats, I would say, you know, I'll come up with a boat. It's the average boat, the most common boat that I sell, Tri-Toon, 22 foot with a 200 horsepower motor on it. That gives at least a 50-gallon fuel capacity. The seating with the Tri-Toon capacity, the seating capacity is typically about from 12 to 15 people. But it's not necessarily the total amount of people you can fit on it. It's usually associated with the weight of the people that you have on there. And typically a 22-footer with the bigger tubes, Tri-Toon can typically take about 2,000 pounds worth of people. So you imagine 10, 200-pound guys or a lot of little kids, but that's typically in that 22-foot range. It's going to hold about 2,000 pounds of people, the Tri-Toon. And so on a boat like that 22-footer tri-tune with a 200 horsepower, you know, typically without a trailer, you see those boats between somewhere in the 50s and gosh, it could go up to the 80s. But you know, between the $55,000 to $75,000. And there's so many different things, the level of comfort on the seating, there's the, you know, there's ski tow bars and the stereos that we talked about, and there's so many things that can make this boat so more expensive than just a base boat. The things that I like to stress on any of the, when you say performance and pontoon in the same sentence, it's the tri-tune with a 200 horsepower motor on it to start with. Now we'll talk about used versus new. There is a lot of used inventory out there. You know, through the last 5 years, how things went up and down, and a lot of the boating market has corrected itself. The mass appeal for the tri-tune hasn't necessarily corrected the volume, because people are holding on to these boats, unlike what a lot of people thought. You know, again, everybody kind of bought a tri-tune with a bigger motor on it, and now everybody's still kind of looking for that 2 or 3 year old late model boat, still with warranty. So we got about this many people looking for that boat, and about this much inventory typically, which makes it a little more difficult. But there are continually more tri-tunes, late model tri-tunes out on the market. And my advice for any used boat purchase is get it inspected. You can have a survey done on it. You can have just a local mechanic check it out, do a compression test, check it out. But the main thing, before you pay for any used boat, is go out for a ride and go run the living before you pay for it. If you're going to be buying a boat, a new boat, or even a used boat through a dealer, some of the things to think about is, you know, some of the reputation, yes, their product and how they honor their warranty really is the key thing. Most dealers have a great reputation as far as honoring their warranty for their customers, because they want to keep them happy, of course. But just check around, make sure that they have the service capability and are able to perform the warranty when you need it. Okay, so at the end of the day, buying a new boat or a used boat, pontoon boat or tri-tune, it's all about getting the family out there, enjoying the day, whether it's fishing or tubing or crabbing or pulling up and getting some food at the local restaurant, or heading to the sandbar to anchor off for the day and even having a barbecue. The reason why the tri-tune and pontoon works so well for that particular situation is that the stability of the pontoons make it feel like it's a floating living room, and your skipper can actually enjoy himself without being stressed out about the rest of the people in his living room for the day. So it's just about a whole lot of fun on a pontoon, tri-tune. Go out there and enjoy yourselves.